excerpt was taken from a full and bloom interview with guitarist Mark Kendall. This clip has never been published. It was taken from my second interview with Mark. To listen to clips from our first interview, click the links in the description. If you'd like to be notified as more from this interview is uploaded, hit the subscribe button and click the bell. Did you have anything to do with the Dante Fox CD that came out?
Nothing at all. In fact, they released it without my permission, so I threatened a lawsuit. It was in our agreement that no Dante Fox material would ever be released without my permission. They'd already released it, so it was kind of too late to totally pull it. So we just settled out of court, and so that was that. I was kind of stuck in between thoughts because that was a very, very, very early part of our writing, and the lyrics were really stupid, and it was just really just a little demo tapes that we made kind of for us, but it got released, and I could have went to court and had them stop it, but I decided I'm just going to let them know you can't do that,
Right.
You can't release Great White material. You can't release Dante, anything before Great White without my permission, because I might have been okay with releasing maybe a 5-song EP of the Dante Fox, but to release a bunch of songs where the real embarrassing stuff is, because that's just for us, we're just learning our way and we're just kids. It's our first songs, and some of the stuff's a bit soft, and then some of the lyrics it's just corny, but everybody's got to start somewhere. I guess, but you don't have to release it. I mean,
Right, and the sound.
Whatever, it's all good. It's just I'd rather have, if somebody's going to release Great White or anything before that I'm involved in, I'd like it if they give me a call.
I mean, it looked like on the liner notes that Jack said something in there, kind of about the time or something like that. So I'm assuming they cleared it with somebody, right?
I don't know. I was supposed they cleared it with somebody, but it wasn't the people they needed to clear it with.
That's incredible. They have Lauren Black as Lauren Black, Loren. I'm like, how do you make a mistake like that?
They don't even, it's bad when they don't even spell our names right.
Right, man. I'm just like, God, how do you do that? And then the sound quality, they're just demos.
Well,
that
I can tell you, let me tell you about what they released. And this is the sad part. They didn't even release something off the masters. We did all these demos years ago, I'm going to say the late 70s. We did all those demos with a guy called John Vestman, and he had an 8-track studio, and Jack's dad paid for a lot of the demos. Some of them we pitched in from little gigs that we did and stuff like that. But what happened was, we lost all contact with John Vestman. Don't even know where he is anymore. And somebody came to the band with a cassette tape that was just full of our demos. And I don't even know who the guy was. But the problem with the cassette tape was every song played a full step fast. So a song in E would be an F sharp on the tape. It was literally rolling too fast. So they released the cassette so not only am I iffy about it being released anyways, even it was properly coming from the studio, but they released a cassette tape to our fans. I mean, the singing sounds like the Chipmunks. It's freaking ridiculous, man. And this is why they need to get my permission, because I could have explained, maybe I wouldn't mind a few songs being released, but it has to be from the masters, not some cassette tape playing way too fast.
One song even came off, it sounded like directly off the radio.
I haven't actually heard it, but I know that the quality is going to be real poor, because I know they got everything off that.
Yeah, it's painful to listen to. I mean, it was cool to hear, I guess, I mean, shocking in many ways to hear like Stick It being Money, but then totally the same song. Your solo was different, but then it had like elements of the solo that you kept.
Right. In a way, it reminds me, because about probably 40 years ago, or maybe, I don't know, 38 years ago, I got a Van Halen demo from their sound man that did, I think, their first tour and maybe their second. And he gave me all these songs, and you hear bits and pieces that they just grabbed out of songs and put them in other songs. I think that's kind of common. And when they released that album in 2012 and they grabbed a bunch of old demo songs, they literally rewrote lyrics on a lot of them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And a lot of lyrics were taken from the demo and changed. Like if you hear, I just happen to know all those songs from their early years because they played around local, and I knew some of their old originals that have never been on records, but they might grab just a piece of music out of it, throw it in another song. Like Hot for Teacher, that ending was on another song. Taking Whiskey to the Party Tonight, looking for somebody to squeeze, that came out of another song and inserted in something else. So I don't mind that. That is common. Like you're saying, Stick It was Money or whatever. That's not unusual once you get the right money and you can work on the songs and be more critical. Oh, I think this lyric would be better or something. That doesn't bother me so much. But the fact that the quality of the tape was horrid and it's playing 100 miles an hour, it's not even the proper speed. It's probably going to drive kids crazy if they try to learn the songs. It's such a higher key that it's just weird.
I thought On Your Knees was kind of funny because how's it go from In Love
to... In Love,
right.
In Love. I know, that's what I mean, and that's the embarrassing part of it, is the soft, corny lyrics in areas. I mean, Jack was like 17 years old when we were writing those songs. Very, very early. I had these riffs and kind of threw lyrics together and stuff like that. So, yeah, it got changed. You know, you get a producer and you get a record deal, and they're not going to let stuff like that grow. So we just worked harder, and plus we were more seasoned. By 82, we had a little time under our belt, and we were getting a little better. So when we wrote those songs and did those demos, we were, like kids.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for one, On Your Knees is already, it is On Your Knees by the time you guys do Out of the Night, which you recorded that in 82, right? And it was released in 83?
Yeah. Michael Wagner came over from Germany and we did that 5-song EP. We actually got airplay with that song on KMET, which is really cool.
When I interviewed Dokken, he said that he was the one who came up with the On Your Knees part, which I think he is credited.
He did, yeah. Okay. He's the one that came up with that. The song's called On Your Knees, and you're saying In Love? What the hell?
Right. It's like opposite ends of the spectrum. That was hysterical to hear that.
He really helped us. He helped us on that EP. He was involved with producing with Wagner and actually spoke through Wagner because he'd been around him a lot, and Michael Wagner really didn't know how to speak English that well. But Don understood him. So Michael would say something to Don, and then Don would say what he said.
Now, one cool thing about the Dante Fox is that Tony Richards, I felt like I could hear on certain songs that he's playing on just because it was very aggressive, very on the beat. It seems Gary maybe had more of a laid-back approach on the drums.
Well, it's Don Costa and Tony Richards are on most of those demos. There's only a couple songs that Gary played on. And Tony was a higher caliber skill set than Gary. He was just had more chops, and he was really natural and just a super gifted drummer.
And so I just interviewed Chris Holmes, and he was like, Don Costa was in the band for a while. And I think way back, I remember maybe when I interviewed Tony years ago that he had said that you guys basically switched with WASP, switched drummers because Gary Holland was in WASP.
Oh.
Is that true, or do you not really remember it like that?
I didn't know that. He probably jammed with Blackie before. But what happened was Gary was following us around when we were playing in Hollywood. He kept coming into the band and go, I'll blow your drummer away. And then, we all kind of party, but Tony was getting a little drunk before the shows. And then we had this drummer saying he's going to blow him away. So somehow we ended up firing Tony and getting Gary. But it was, as far as skill level, it was not the right move, but it was maybe in other ways the right move.
Was Don fired? Or did he quit?
No. Don, this is the funny part about it. 3 weeks before Niven saw us at the Whiskey, before we got our, I guess, distribution deal with Green World and had all the meetings with Niven, Costa came up to the band and said that he didn't feel we were heavy enough and he was quitting. And here's the funny thing. 2 weeks later, George Lynch calls me and said that Ozzy is hunting for a bass player and Costa would be perfect. And he was in Dallas at the time. And so I got a hold of Don and I told him, hey, Ozzy's looking for a bass player and they want to fly you to Dallas. And he didn't believe me at first. And before he knew it, he was in Dallas and got the gig along with Jiggy Lee. Lynch didn't get the gig, but we only had our bass player that we just went and stole a bass player out of a band that was Lauren, and he'd only done 3 or 4 shows before Niven saw us. And the only reason Niven had passed, he wasn't into us. He saw us twice, and on the third, and Dokken made him go see us again. He said, "You're missing it," and on that particular night, we played No Doctor by Humble Pie in the encore, and that sold him. Once he heard us do that, he goes, oh, I get it now. I get it. I can make this work, So it's funny how little things like that can change your fate.
Right. I think last time we talked about that, and you were saying that Don, as crazy as he was on stage, that it's a good thing because Alan would have totally passed if...
He would have passed only because... Costa took it to these different levels when he was actually a wonderful bass player. That dude, I mean, he was a bass fan. He was into certain gear. He played with his fingers. I mean, he was totally gifted on bass. But I made the mistake of telling him that he's too reserved on stage. And once I told him that, he must have misunderstood it or something, because before he knew it, he had cheese graters. He was like grinding his knuckles every show, bleeding all over the place, using a pickaxe for his solo, and all these like chains across his chest. And I go, dude, I just meant to move around more. You didn't have to turn into Satan on me. But you know what I mean? He really wasn't playing like he was when I first hooked up with him. I mean, he was really studying the songs and come up with wonderful parts. Then he just went haywire. But I think he was more reserved when we played with Ozzy. I'm sure he didn't go up there and start bleeding all over everybody. He was playing the songs for sure.
I thought he would have been great when Chris was like, he was in WASP for a brief moment. I thought, man, that would have been probably perfect with their whole meat thing at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. But, Blackie used animal meat. Costa used his own.
Right.
that was the difference.
He'd like cheese grate his knuckles.
He got hepatitis twice from doing that. And he still do it when he had scabs and stuff. That's why he got the infection.